Everything started when I accepted the briefcase of money. Part 1. The First Shadows. Chapter 1. An Ordinary Night. The smell of grilled kebab filled the corners of the small restaurant when I looked at the clock hanging on the wall. 11:15. I should have closed the place a quarter of an hour ago, but the last customers, a middle-aged couple, were still sipping tea and talking in hushed voices. I wasn't the type to throw customers out, especially at times like these when every dirham counted. Al Nakhla restaurant, that's what I named it, after the single palm tree that stood in front of our childhood home. The place wasn't fancy by any means, just 8 wooden tables, walls painted in a creamy color trying to hide the cracks of years, and a small kitchen where I could see everything through the glass partition. But it was mine. It was my dream that came true after 10 years of working in other people's kitchens, from washing to chopping to cooking, until I gathered enough to get a loan and open this place. That was 3 years ago. 3 years of struggle, of waking up at 5 in the morning and sleeping at midnight, of trying to compete with the big restaurants on the main streets. But I was proud of it. My mother would come every Friday, sit at the table by the window and smile as she looked around, saying, "If your father saw this, he would be proud of you, Karim." My father. Karim the father, as everyone called him to distinguish him from me. He died, or so we were told, 15 years ago in a horrific car accident on the highway. I was 15 then, at that critical age when you need your father more than ever. But life doesn't wait for our sorrows. Our life was turned upside down. From a spacious apartment in an upscale neighborhood to 2 cramped rooms in a working-class area. From a private school to an overcrowded public school. From relative comfort to a daily struggle for survival. I didn't understand at the time why all this sudden change. My father was an accountant, working for a large import-export company. His salary was good and we had savings, or so I thought. But my mother, with her sad eyes that no longer smiled much, told me that everything went to paying off debts we didn't know about. "Your father was kinder than he should have been," she would say. "He helped everyone, guaranteed for everyone, until he drowned in other people's debts." I accepted the explanation then. What could a 15-year-old boy do? I left school at 16, started working, and dedicated my life to 2 goals: helping my mother and building something that bore my name. And now, as I stood in my restaurant at 11 at night on a night that seemed completely ordinary, I was thinking about the near future with worry. The bank refused the loan extension request. The rent would increase next month. And worst of all, my mother needed heart surgery, an operation that would cost what I didn't have and couldn't collect in the foreseeable future. The couple finally left, leaving a modest tip. I thanked them, closed the door behind them, and flipped the open sign to closed. I started cleaning the tables and collecting dishes and thinking about the numbers that never balanced in my ledger. This was the moment when the door knocked. Chapter 2. The Man in the Black Suit. I stopped, holding the cloth in my hand. Who knocks on the door at this time? All the regular customers know I close at 11. I looked through the glass and saw the shadow of a man standing outside. I hesitated. There was something about his stance, about the way he stood completely still, that made me feel anxious. But maybe he was just a late customer, someone hungry looking for a quick meal. I opened the door slightly. "We're closed," I said politely. The man raised his head, and for the first time I saw his face clearly under the dim lamplight. He was in his 40s with sharp features and carefully styled black hair. He wore an elegant black suit that looked expensive and absolutely didn't fit with this neighborhood. But what really caught my attention were his eyes, gray, cold eyes that had seen much and said little. "I know," he said in a calm but confident voice, "but I'm not here for food. I need to talk to you, Karim." My hand trembled on the door handle. How does he know my name? "Do we know each other?" I asked, trying to appear calm. He smiled a faint smile, but it didn't reach his eyes. "No, but I know you. I know a lot about you. May I come in? It won't take long, and I promise it will be beneficial for you." Every instinct in my body was screaming to close the door and call the police. But something, perhaps curiosity, perhaps the desperation I was feeling, made me step back and let him in. He entered with confident steps, looked around with examining eyes, as if he was assessing everything: the tables, the windows, the kitchen location, the back exit door. He sat at the corner table exactly as I expected, the place from which you could see the front door and the kitchen at the same time. "Coffee, please," he said. It wasn't a request, it was closer to instructions. I went to the kitchen, my hands trembling slightly as I prepared the cup of coffee. Who is this man? What does he want from me? And why does he know my name? I returned and placed the cup in front of him. He didn't touch it, just continued looking at me with those cold gray eyes. "Sit down, Karim," he said. It wasn't a suggestion. I sat down, my heart pounding so hard I was sure he could hear it. "Who are you? And what do you want?" I asked, trying to make my voice sound stronger than I felt. "Who I am isn't important," he said. "What I want is more important. I'm here to offer you a deal that will solve all your financial problems." I froze. How does he know about my financial problems? "I don't understand," I said. He leaned forward slightly. "You owe the bank $80,000. Your loan expires in 2 months and you can't renew it. The building owner will raise the rent by 30%, and your mother, Nora, needs open-heart surgery that costs at least $65,000. Am I wrong?" I felt the blood freeze in my veins. Every word he said was correct in terrifying detail. "How do you know all this?" I whispered. He ignored my question. "What matters is that I can help you. All I need from you is very simple." He reached under the table, pulled out a black leather briefcase and placed it on the table with a smooth motion. It was an elegant briefcase, the kind businessmen use, but there was something frightening about the way he placed it, as if it contained something much heavier than just papers. "Inside this briefcase," he said in a dry business tone, $200,000 cash. I felt the room spinning around me. $200,000. It was a fortune for me, more than I had seen in my entire life. This is impossible," I muttered. "Why? What do you want in return?" He smiled that cold smile again. "I want you to keep it for just 1 week. 7 days. Don't open it, don't look inside, don't tell anyone about it. Just keep it in a safe place. After a week, someone will come to collect it from you. He'll give you a password and you'll give him the briefcase. Simple, isn't it?" "And in return?" I asked, although I knew there was more. $20,000 cash as soon as you hand over the briefcase. $20,000. It was enough to extend the loan to pay part of my mother's surgery costs, to give me a chance to breathe. But everything inside me was screaming that this was wrong. No one pays $20,000 to store a briefcase for a week. No one. "What's in the briefcase?" I asked. "That doesn't concern you," he said coldly. "The less you know, the better for you. Trust me. And if I refuse?" He looked at me for a long time, and for the first time I saw something resembling sympathy in his eyes. "If you refuse, I'll leave and you won't see anyone from me again. I won't threaten you, I won't harm you. You'll continue your life as it is, but..." He stopped, took a sip from the coffee he hadn't touched until... "But your mother will die within 6 months without that operation. You'll lose the restaurant within 3 months, and you'll find yourself on the street with nothing, with a sick mother and debts you'll never be able to pay. Is that the future you want?" His words were harsh, but painfully honest. Chapter 3. The Decision. I was silent for a long time, looking at the black briefcase on the table. It looked completely ordinary, but I knew it wasn't. There was a story behind it, a story that wouldn't be good. "Why me?" I finally asked. "Why did you choose me out of all people?" He looked directly into my eyes. "Because you're someone who doesn't attract attention. You're a small restaurant owner in an ordinary neighborhood. No one watches you, no one suspects you. No suspicious friends, no criminal record, no shady past. You're clean, Karim, completely clean. And that's exactly what I need." He was right in every word, and that made me feel angry and insulted at the same time. I was nobody, just an ordinary person who could be used and then forgotten. And how do I know this isn't a trap? I asked. How do I know you won't come back to take the money and leave me to bear the consequences of something I don't know about? He smiled. You don't know. But think about it logically. If I wanted to get you in trouble, why would I pay you $20,000? I could simply leave the briefcase in your restaurant and call the police. No, Kareem, I'm not your enemy. I'm just a man who needs a favor and is willing to pay generously for it. His logic was sound, but that didn't make me feel comfortable. I thought about my mother. I saw her in my mind as she was this morning, weak, pale, trying to smile despite the pain I know she feels. The doctor said time was running out. Every week that passes makes the operation more dangerous. I thought about the restaurant, this small place I built with my sweat and blood. The idea that I might lose it was like the idea of losing a part of my soul. Just 7 days? I asked, knowing I'd already made my decision. 7 days, he confirmed. The man will come at this same time, 11 at night, exactly 1 week from now. He'll say to you, the palm tree is still standing. That's the password. Then you give him the briefcase and he'll give you the money. The palm tree is still standing, I repeated. It was a strange phrase, but easy to remember. Exactly. He stood from his seat, extending his hand toward me. Do we have a deal? I looked at his extended hand. This was the dividing line. If I shook it, there would be no going back. I would enter a world I knew nothing about, a world of shadows and secrets. But I was desperate, and desperation makes us do things we would never do under normal circumstances. I extended my hand and shook his. His grip was strong, cold. Wise choice, he said. Remember the rules. Don't open the briefcase. Don't tell anyone. Don't try to know what's inside. Live your life normally, and after a week your problems will be over. He took the briefcase from the table and handed it to me. It was heavier than I expected, not because of the physical weight, but because of the weight of what it represented. Oh, and Kareem, he said as he headed toward the door. Don't try to search for me. Don't try to find out who I am. That would be unwise. It wasn't a direct threat, but the message was completely clear. He opened the door, then stopped, looked at me over his shoulder. Your father was a brave man, Kareem. I hope you don't inherit his courage at the wrong time. Before I could respond, before I could even process what he had just said about my father, he had disappeared into the darkness of the night. I stood there holding the briefcase, my heart beating violently. What had I just done? And what did he mean by his words about my father? I closed the door and locked it with all 3 locks. I went to the old safe in the back of the kitchen. It was a small, rusty safe that came with the restaurant when I bought it. I didn't use it much, just to keep some extra cash and some important papers. I opened it and placed the briefcase inside. I looked at it for a long moment. It looked so innocent, just a black leather briefcase, but I knew it was anything but innocent. I closed the safe and locked it. 7 days. All I had to do was wait 7 days. How hard could that be? Chapter 4. Day 1. Doubts. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in my bed in the small apartment I share with my mother, looking at the ceiling, thinking about everything that had happened. The man's words about my father kept spinning in my head. Your father was a brave man. How does he know my father, and what did he mean by that? I tried to convince myself it was just a coincidence. Maybe the man knew my father from work, or maybe it was just casual talk. But something about the way he said it, the special tone in his voice, made me feel there was more to it. At 6 in the morning, I surrendered to the fact that I wouldn't sleep. I got up, showered, and went to the restaurant. My mother was still asleep, which was good. I didn't want her to see me in this state, worried and tense. I opened the restaurant at 7 as usual. The morning customers came, construction workers, office employees, some students. I tried to act normal, smile, talk, serve. But all I was thinking about was the briefcase in the safe. At noon, Yasser came, my closest friend. He ran a vegetable shop on the next street and came almost every day for lunch. You look tired, Kareem, he said as he sat at his usual table. Is everything all right? Just didn't sleep well, I said, trying to appear normal. A lot of things on my mind. He looked at me with worried eyes. Your mother? I nodded. I wasn't completely lying. My mother was indeed a big reason for my worry. "She'll be fine, my friend," he said, putting his hand on my shoulder. "God is generous." I smiled a sad smile. Yasser was a good man, religious, who believed that everything happens for a reason. I wished my faith was as simple as his. After Yasser left, a group of men I had never seen before came. 3 men in their 30s wearing ordinary clothes, but there was something about the way they looked around that made me feel uncomfortable. They sat down and ordered food, but they were talking in low voices and casting frequent glances toward me. Maybe I was being paranoid, but it seemed they were watching me. When they finished and paid, I tried to appear friendly. "Thank you. I hope you enjoyed the food." One of them looked at me with a long stare, then smiled a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "It was good. We'll be back." I felt a chill run down my spine as I watched them leave. The rest of the day passed painfully slowly. Every new customer, every knock on the door made me jump. I checked the safe every hour as if making sure the briefcase was still there, even though I knew it was. In the evening, while I was cleaning the kitchen, my mother called. "Karim, when will you come home?" "Soon, Mom. I'm just finishing some things here."